Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Legion 99 podcast, your source for the latest tactics, news, battle reports, hobby talk, and general Legion chatter. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Legion 99. I'm Nick, and I'm here with Keegan again, as
Hey,
always. Nick. Almost always. Hi, Keegan.
Hi, Nick. This is going to be casual, Keegan. I'm freaking tired from a week in travel.
Yeah.
If I could do a video podcast like laying down, like I've heard some people do Zoom calls in for meetings.
Get the green screen. There's that guy who like puts the green screen thing behind him and he like does all these stunts and shit and fake Zoom calls. It's hilarious. I don't know what it is.
I got a big green screen.
I obviously do not.
Yeah.
But like my workspace is like basically like the cleanest it's ever been, like entirely. Like like I even like dude, so I clean, right? I'll clean something. I'll be like, It's my day off and like, all right, I need to do this, right? And if like I'll do this thing and I'll be really pleased and then I'll be like, well, next time I gotta organize my minis. Cause like for like the last 2 years, I have these like IKEA display case cabinets that everybody has. Yeah, they're cheap. They're pretty easy to put together.
$79.99.
Yeah. And you get the
little. Very hard to find in stock about a year into the pandemic.
That adds up. I have two of them. I have one like right here, and I have one past my monitors over there against the other wall that you can't see. But so like. It's a mess, right? There's like 4 shelves in them and like there's like random ass minis in them and like I finally the other day said to myself, I'm going to fucking organize my minis and like god damn it, I fucking organized my minis. It's great.
Nice.
So like it's great and then like I cleaned up and I know I have to unpack 20 tables, bring them upstairs this week, so it's going to be a mess again cuz like it somehow always is. I try for it not to be, but it's always just like a process. It sucks.
Yeah.
Not really, because I love it. I love toting terrain everywhere. I'm going to Nova. I'm very excited. It's in like 5 days. Today's Sunday.
Awesome. Yeah.
Today's Sunday afternoon. I just got out of work a couple hours ago. I mean, Keegan just got off a plane or something like that.
Yeah, I was down in LA for the weekend. Saw a couple of great comedy shows. Had lunch with a couple of really good friends. Okay.
That sounds fun. I don't like going on planes when I don't have to. It's like a 2 or 3 times a year thing for me. It's like, that's it. Like, I don't fit good in them. Like, and if it's over like 3 hours, I'm like really just like, it's like, I hate it. It's so uncomfortable.
You would have hated the plane. I went flying as a pilot for the first time in a very long time.
Whoa, that's actually cool.
Yeah, I got in. I went and just. I'm working on getting my medicals clearances and all that stuff set up to do it a little more regularly. But in the meantime, I just figured, screw it. I'm going to go just pay one of the small Cessna flight schools at a tiny airport near here for like, hey, give me a demo flight like you'd give to someone who's never flown before, even though I've got like 2,000 hours. So, we went up in one of these tiny things, but it was like. I almost forgot how freaking small those cockpits and cabins are.
They look incredibly small.
It's very efficient use of space. But
I probably would have been too tall to be a pilot. Is there like a height restriction?
There are sometimes. It varies by aircraft. But when I was going through flight school and the first massive medical screening, they take all your measurements, and there were some people who. Were either too tall or too small for certain aircraft. Like
a roller coaster.
Yeah. Because sometimes some of the aircraft, like the seats only adjust so far. So if and it's not like just a straight height thing. It's like they're measuring like length of legs and like to figure out fit, like if you can reach the pedals and stuff.
That makes sense.
But as tempting as it is with a little bit of a dearth of news to pivot to be a aviation and general.
Oh, man.
What are Nick and Keegan's hobbies this week podcast? We should probably pretend we're going to be back on topic for a brief minute.
I painted an FD cannon this week.
Ooh, nice.
Or last week. Today's Sunday, so last week.
Yeah, I still only have my one. I'm very proud. That was one of my first water effects
I'm no longer playing Ewoks at Nova.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me sad. Yeah. They're so well painted, and they have their own shelf in the display case over there. They've got their own shelf, and that's where they live for now until I decide to be brave enough and take them back out of the display case and play them again.
Oh, the display case will keep the dust off them while they stay up there.
It will do that. Also, it'll keep my dog from taking them.
Also fair.
Things. Yeah. He's discovered that like he can take like individual things off of shelves this week. So like, yeah, the little fucking bookcase thing I have. I've cursed a lot so far. I apologize for any.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure Mike left an explicit rating on this. He
takes like my PlayStation games and like my movies off the shelf now, and like he's like, I look at him and he's smiling and wagging his tail like, oh, I have something I'm not supposed to have. Anyway, Legion.
Yeah, what are we going to talk about? It's going to be, well, maybe shorter. I'm not going to make any promises on time because every time I do, we end up ramping.
I like to not make promises.
Topic-wise, not much news, but there's a good reason for that, I think. You had a tournament you're going to talk about, and then we are going to talk about the probably good reason there's not much news right now because in, 3 weeks?
Ministraveganza. The most important thing.
Yeah, so we will do. It's been a while since Nick and I have done any rampant speculation. It's not really usually our thing, so this is a special treat. Maybe if I remember, I'll come up with a witty title based off of that concept.
I assume we're getting new core sets, and they're going to finally announce Garsoka. Finally. Finally.
Yeah. We'll save it for the actual segment, Nick.
Okay.
Before we get there, Jay was saying he might do a standardized pre-roll ad, so we don't have to say that. But if not, Legion 99 is a proud member of the Fifth Trooper network. Check out fifthtrooper.com, Patreon// I don't know. Go to Patreon, type in the Fifth Trooper, Google will fill it. Google and the AI will figure it out for you. To join, check out the higher tier levels as well, because more advanced things, including exclusive discounts to 6 Up Supply. We genuinely don't offer the level of discount that you get as a Fifth Trooper Patreon anywhere else for 6 Up Supply. Hot item this week on a couple of Discords, the line lasers. People saw some more, so I saw a couple more of those moving. So if you want to get that discount for that line laser, get in there. Also check out all the other content.
When we're at the LGS playing and people like walk by that aren't like, they don't know anything about Legion really, and they'll they see it on the table and they're like, what is that? Does that come with the game? I'm like, no. And I tell them where they can get it, but then it's like, it's great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, of course we tell them where they can get it.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. That's the least I can do. Sometimes I even give them a sticker because I have like 80 of them from past events.
That's true. Yeah, I think I've dumped a bunch on you. I still have a ton of the.
People like stickers, man.
Yeah. Also, mentioned it last week, but unrelated to the Fifth Trooper and unrelated to Legion. If you enjoy the kind of the themes of insights I offer into Legion, maybe you might like hearing about how I think about other things in life. If so, check out a new podcast available on Apple, Spotify, and others, Learning to Human with Kana and Keegan. Link will be in the description, of course. Each week we generally interview, every so often it's just the two of us cast, but Kana and I interview a new guest with a really just some fascinating stories. We've had a friend of ours who accidentally joined a 150-year-old a cappella group when studying at UPenn. He thought he was going for music lessons, throughout the audition, didn't realize that he was actually auditioning for this. It's a great story on there. We've had some just folks who've made a bunch of transitions this week, coming out the Tuesday after this Legion 99 drops. We're interviewing our good friend Shira Yevon, who she was a punk rock star. She's been in marketing. She's launching her own platform company. My favorite story about Shira is she recognized that there weren't any female artists on the Warped Tour, so she just crashed it with an RV and set up a stage outside, and then got invited to make that a permanent thing. So we talk about what it is to be human and how it's messy, but it's cool, and dig into insight. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, or you just want to support me, check us out. All the old like and subscribe stuff there. All right.
I always support you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome. Business out of the way. What the hell? Okay, so 2 small segments this week. You're going to talk about the cool event you went to.
Keystone Classic, baby!
I think attended by most of the 5th Trooper, if I read it right.
I mean, everyone, if you weren't there, you're not cool, basically. Only cool people were there.
Yeah.
All the cool people, like 20 cool people.
Yeah. So let's jump into that.
Yeah. So I was up in Scranton at the it was at a hotel, and now I forget which one, and that's okay. But it was the Keystone Classic. I didn't know why it was called that, but apparently it's a Penn State thing. They have like a game every year called the Keystone Classic. I didn't know that. The TO Vince is a Penn State fan, obviously. But we went up there. Jay was there. So was Evan. Tim, the Legion socialite or something.
Is that what we're calling him now?
That's his name on TLD. It's Legion socialite.
That's amazing.
But yeah, Tim was there. Mike came. I convinced Mike Cirillo to come. All the Scranton guys that normally come to my events were there. And a lot of the guys that I met at the tournament at the Portal that I won a few months ago were there. So it was a lot of fun. It was nice that it would have been. It's a different vibe because normally you're in a store it was a store championship, to be clear. Sure. Normally, like you're in a store. So not being in a store, we were in like a large conference room in the hotel. It was nice. It was nice and cool all day. Air conditioning worked really well. I enjoyed it. It was also like the nicest Saturday I've seen here in like a year. Like it was me and Mike went like outside like during the lunch break, and it's like it is so nice outside. Why the hell are we playing Legion inside? And it's like me saying that is wild because I'm an indoor cat.
Yeah.
But it was really nice. But yeah, 20 players. The overall winner was John Grizaniuk. He's a buddy. He's a local. I know I butchered his name. Most people just call him John Grizz. But he ended up winning with his Blizzard Force. Blizzard Force is still good, apparently. We played 3 rounds. And then there was a 4th to determine a final winner to get the invite. I brought a couple of the guys who play with me at Top Deck. We all carpooled up there because it's about a 2-hour drive from my house, so not too bad. I learned that like when I fill my car with people and terrain and minis and everything, that it drives way worse than it normally does. So that was a thing. I thought we might die at one point. I was like, I thought my car might die, and I was very sad about that. But so I brought some terrain. There was a ton of prize support. It was great. The store, I think the owner of the store was there, and like they were selling stuff, and it was a good time. I got to meet a lot of cool people. So I mentioned earlier that I'm not playing Ewoks right now because there's just way too many things in the meta that are like really good against them. Like if you have the Chewy ATSD, it seems really good that it has incognito until everything gets into like range, just outside range 2. And then they walk in, and then you finally shoot. And then, you just died to 3 Magna shots because they're range 2 now. And they have impact 2 and critical and aims. And now you're dead.
Magnus?
Yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back was the Thursday before we went, and me and Mike got a game in, and he was playing CAD triple magnas, and I think the ATSC died. It was like 3 shots from the magnas at range 2. I think one of the shots he was down 2 magna guards because Chewie shot them, and he did half a squad, and then they shot back. The other 2 shot, and then I think it was 2 B1s with E5Ss that shot at range 4 finally killed it that round. And it was just like, I traded my ATSC for half of a Magna squad that ended up getting repaired back anyway.
Oof.
Yeah, it was a real feels bad.
Is anyone but Mike playing Magnas right now?
I think Austin Miller is.
Oh,
he's pretty good at this game.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear.
So also Tempest Force with the ATSTs is a real thing, and one ATST is pretty good, but 2 is better, and 3 is wild.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just fell right off of the Ewok train. Mike and it had to be Mike who did it because he hates them on principle. So of course it was Mike who was the one who finally killed it for me. For now, I will play them again eventually for fun, but not at Nova. So I ended up going back to Cassian Ahsoka K2 because I know it and it's pretty good. It's placed high at a lot of big events recently. Notably, I think it was the other Florida man at LSO, one of the other Florida men at LSO. I think the Florida kid that's not Liam. It came in second at LSO. Not the exact list, but pretty similar. Because I don't love FDs, but I understand that I probably need to consider a second if I want to survive against armor. So I did bring a second FD to Keystone. I think the list was Cassian with his gun, duck and cover, recon intel, environmental gear in the loadout. K2 with his gun and emergency transponder. Ahsoka with force push, burst of speed, tenacity into the fray. 2 rebel vets with the CMOs, 1 MK. 2 FDs. I went with the suppressive generator over the impact.
Okay.
They both have transponders, and 2 strike teams with snipers. I think that brings it to 10 acts. I know it's 10 activations, but I might have.
Why the suppressive?
So when I was talking to other people, they thought it might be a good hedge. The FD already has impact 2.
Yeah.
And if you're shooting into a vehicle, ATSCs can still get cover from a lot of things. So if you're shooting in a heavy cover and you don't have an aim, there's a really good chance that you roll 1 crit and 3 hits or something like that, and then you can't even cover your impact 3 or something like that. So why not hedge, add the 2 dice, and then you have suppressive against troopers, which is still pretty good. It basically means that with an aim or without an aim, it's probably 3 crits after cover usually, because usually there's 1 natural crit somewhere that occasionally you spike, but usually it's consistently 3 crits all said and done, which is nice. And that's 3 crits into an ATST is 2 damage usually. So mathematically, usually that's what it works out to, which is nice. I have generally enough, with the Rebel vets, with their gun, the critical gun, Cassian getting aims from K2 and shooting, and the FDs. It's usually I have almost enough to take down an ATST in a round or so, a round, which is kind of necessary when you face 3, and we'll talk about that. But round 1, I did not play. Round 1, I did not play against triple ATSTs. I played against Yoda Barks, specifically Jay's Yoda Barks. He was playing Yoda with barrier, force push, burst of speed, Chewie with protector, 3 phase 1s with RPSs. 1 of them had a medic, an Echo strike team, and 3 naked Barks. This game was on a very, very open table. It was like a forest table. It had the little the big trees that don't have the tops that you can usually hide like a model behind it, but it's very easy to flank. But those like, a cylinder terrain piece, it's very easy to flank. Yeah. There were like 3 buildings on the table, and he gave me blue because his battle deck he felt comfortable playing against it, which is fine because my battle deck is like a red player battle deck. It's, he picked the correct table side because he had easier access to the better line of sight blockers. I was fortunate enough that we played Long March, and I was able to put one of my FDs on top of my building so it could see the entire. It was like basically we played Intercept, and it was Intercept Long March. You can basically put an FD right at that intercept point, and it happened to be on a building. So I was able, that FD just sat there and it was able to see basically the entire field. So once he came out, I got shots. It was a close game for a while. I was able to, I took as many shots as I could. Cassian struggled to get shots just because like he was able to hide everything pretty well. At round 2, I positioned, and I had 10x to his 9. So round 2, I had put Ahsoka at the end of round 1 in a spot where she could double move to get to the center intercept, and if something was there, she would be able to force push it out or into her if I wanted to, so that I was either able to capture the center point or not. At some point, I made a mistake and I double activated something. We're not sure how it happened, but I ended up not going last that round, which really, it really kind of threw me off. Next round, I planned an Ahsoka dive into where Echo was hiding along with his medic phase 1, which was about range 2.5, about range 3 from Yoda and Chewie, and the Barks were on the other side. Attempting to get shots on my FDs, and I misjudged what I thought would have been a safe double burst of speed into this clone medic, and I mismeasured it by about probably like an inch, I would guess. And I'd already started making the moves, and I was like, you know what? I already have an invite, technically, I guess, maybe, who knows. And I was like, I need to learn from mistakes. Like if I make a mistake, I need to learn from it. And so I double moved Ahsoka. I still, with burst of speed, double moved her, and I was able to force push the phase 1 into me at the end. I just didn't get an attack, which was a bummer. And after that, Ahsoka kind of just put the game on her back. I started losing activations. Like I lost, I had both of my Rebel vets at sometime early in like round 4 were down to like the leader and the heavy. I had lost a strike team. And Ahsoka she hadn't activated yet, but it's like, I really needed her to just kill an activation immediately. And she did. The clones had stayed in the melee with her and just punched her. They did the tenacity wound. She one-shot that phase 1. Fortunately, they had spent Echo Surge on the attack, so they didn't have it for defense, and then they only rolled 2 blocks out of 6, so they died. Fortunate, little lucky. Next round, I needed to make a play for a unit. He still had 2 of his Barks, and now I believe I lost one of my FDs at this point. So I really needed to his Barks had made pretty good saves against the FDs. So I really needed Ahsoka to make another play. We did the 1 pip, and she double moved into Chewie because at this point she wasn't immobilized anymore. So she was full speed 2. She double moved into Chewie, who had taken 1 wound from Cassian earlier from just a shot round 1. And she got exactly enough to kill Chewie, because her 1 pip is amazing. And Jay hadn't played against Ahsoka yet, which is what he said. And I think he didn't realize that she was capable of doing that.
Once she gets in, she's
she has her dive card is so good. It's just really good. And like oftentimes you're only going to spend like one of those 3 dodges she probably has. So it's not, you know, it's just getting all of those extra dice is great. And when she's got tenacity, it's like 10 dice. So after that, I ended up finishing off the other 2 barks, like late round 5. I still had, I think, 9 activations. And now he was at like 6 because I had like managed to pick off a clone squad that was like that had pressed for the middle round 4. So I managed to pick off another clone squad. So at this point, it was like if he kills Ahsoka, that's fine. But if she gets one more activation, it's just gravy. She did get one more activation round 6. She didn't kill the clone squad, but she left it to the leader, and then she just force pushed it to where Cassian and everything would be able to see it and shoot it. But Jay just didn't have enough stuff to press the middle because like the Barks can't score an intercept. I still had a strike team, my MK and K2 who were able to like contest the middle, and the only thing he was going to have near the middle was Yoda, and Yoda he played his 1 pip round 6, and Yoda can do a whole lot of things with that 1 pip, but he can't do everything with that 1 pip. So if effectively I felt like pretty comfortable going into like turn 6 after Ahsoka activated turn 6 that like I was gonna win, but so I ended up winning whatever the final score was. It was a good game. Ahsoka was definitely the hero, put the game on her back. Few really strong attack rolls carried it for me. So 1-0 going into round 2.
Jay didn't fire us for you beating him?
He did not. He threatened to many times, but he didn't. That was like the first thing he said, I think, was like, if you beat me, you're fired. Everybody laughed. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So round 2, I got none other than Evan Bulris. Everybody knows Evan.
It's a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah. Evan's been playing with Mr. General Grievous quite a lot. He was playing Grievous, Maul, a T-Series, I think 3 B1s with E5Ss, 2 B2s, the Baja Blast, he calls it, which is great. I'd never heard anybody call it that. I love it. But yeah, the B2s with the Ha and the T-Series, and then Maul's droids. We were on one of my tables, so it was fairly dense. One of my newer tables. We ended up the flop went really in my favor. I felt like we ended up getting rapid reinforcements, and FDs like rapid reinforcements a whole lot. But then I remembered that he had B2s with Haas. So I was like, well, this might not actually be so good. But it turns out that this was just an exercise in how well someone can roll dice and how poorly someone else can roll dice, and you see what happens. Mm-hmm. And basically this was after round 1, this was like an exercise in like, this poor man just got diced off the table like round 2. It was awful. Good.
Yeah, he did it to me.
Okay. Well, we're still holding grudges from a year ago. Anyway,
it's not yet a year. I'll stop whining about it. Nova's this week. Yeah. So this is the last time I can legitimately, because if I'm whining about 2 Novas ago, then that's bullshit. But if I'm still whining about the last Nova.
We played Intercept again because apparently that's all I know how to play is Intercept.
You want me off this topic, don't you?
No, I felt so. Listen to this, and afterwards, then you can complain if you still want. But this was awful. This was awful.
Okay.
We had the rapid reinforcements. He obviously he had Maul. I think we played advanced positions too. So he had Maul and Grievous just kind of come right toward the middle. Like they just pushed right towards the middle very early. He put his B2s basically range 1.5 behind line of sight blockers from my intercept point. Mm-hmm. And he just set his B1s up to just poke shots at me from across the table. He got shots. My one FD I placed like my bottom board edge to where it could see like everything, just about like all his B1s and everything. And like I think Maul had already activated and moved toward the center. So and then I put my other FD, like there was like a line of sight blocker, like kind of like in the middle, like right by the intercept point. I basically put it so like it was like right the center of the table, facing where he put his B2s, because it was my last pull of the round. And he only had 9x, so I knew where his B2s were. So I put it facing like his B2s that were like range 4.5 away, and so that his B1s couldn't see it from the other side. They would have had to go around. They eventually took shots, but so like near the end of the round, I dropped my first, when I pulled my first FD, I dropped it, and then he activated Grievous and Maul. And first it was Maul, and the FD was in heavy cover because everything's in heavy cover almost all the time. Maul uses his saber throw and throws a saber and does no damage at all. Nothing. It was like 2 hits, 1 away to cover. He had the 1 pip, so he rolls the aim and he gets 1 more. He gets 1 damage on this FD, which feels real bad. It feels real bad. It happens. But then Grievous runs up and, he double moves Relentlesses with the pistol, and then he gets 4 paint. I'm like, oh, shit. So I roll my 2 white dice, figure I'm taking 2 damage. Well, I rolled 2 blocks, so I only took 1. So whoops on me. Okay. And then after this, it's just snowballs. Round 2, near the end of round 2, he had put Maul like behind that same terrain piece where my FD was. So it was about like half a range band from my FD. But he was behind the line of sight blocker. I was able to push my vets around to get a range 3 shot on Maul. These rebel vets did 4 damage to Maul in 1 shot. It was terrible, something like that. His first 2 B2 attack rolls were like really, really poor. I kept making saves. Like my FD, the 1 FD I placed near the bottom that he aggressively went for, like lived into like round 3. Because like I just kept rolling blocks and blocks and blocks. It just felt bad. I killed Maul turn 2. And then he basically was forced to kind of hide Grievous and just like peekaboo with Relentless and take shots until he dove round 6. I was able to pick off the B2s before they caused too much trouble. Round 2, I didn't score my intercept point because I couldn't, like, it was like I could run a Mark II out there to like die, which I did just to tie it because he moved 1 onto it. Okay. And then the other one, he didn't move onto it. He moved and shot at the Mark II I put out there, and he only did 1 damage to the Mark II. His dice were just so bad. Oof. And it's like in hindsight, if you know you're going to roll that bad, you would just double move them to take my point that round. But he figured he would just walk into range 2 and shoot with all these dice and kill this MK. And he only rolled like 4 hits or 5 hits, and it rolled like 3 or 4 blocks. It was wild.
And MK rolled 4 blocks.
Yeah, it was like, it's like my dice started to turn in the game against Jay late. Like Ahsoka's attack rolls were fire, and his last couple rolls on his barks were not good. After they made saves early, they didn't make saves late, so it kind of turned on the head a little bit, and then it just continued into this round, and it's just like it felt really bad because like I was really excited to play both Jay and Evan, and like especially the game against Evan, it was completely like decided by dice rolls, and it felt bad. And I felt like into like round 4, like I'm rolling dice, and I'm honestly, I was hoping I would like make some bad rolls, and I just didn't. And it was just like felt bad to do it to the man. He's a nice man.
Yes.
But yeah, I ended up winning that game. I think the only thing he had left was a T-Series on the table. But we had our lunch break, got some good pizza, going in round 3, and I'm playing my buddy Travis. He traveled up from Philly. He usually comes to most of my tournaments. I play him regularly at Top Deck. He was like, let me 3D print myself an ATST and print out these Tempest cards and see what Tempest is all about. So he had an 8 activation Tempest Force with Major Marquand, 2 ATSTs with the Hammer Pilot, the Twin Light, and the LTAs, 2 Stormtroopers with Astromechs, and 3 Scouts. He was in at 800 exactly, so I was blue, thankfully. And he, believe it or not, we played intercepted transmissions. I think he didn't realize. So to be fair, I don't think like Tempest is outright. This version of Tempest is outright bad at intercept because your ATSTs have Scout too, and we played rollout. So those ATSTs were like at the center turn 1, like they were at the center of the table turn 1, and we were immediately trading shots back and forth. Like my FDs, I was like, well, I need to get at least a couple shots out of these FDs before, because he inevitably targeted the FDs, and I think that's the right call, because it's just like, I think if you're like red save armor, you might shoot Cassian first. You might try and shoot Cassian first. But if you're white save armor, I think you got to go for those FDs, because if they roll 7 dice with an aim, and they might throw 4 crits at you, and you might take 4 damage. So he targeted the my FDs were I saved my FDs for last. I deployed one of them after he deployed his first 2 ATSTs, and I deployed it in such a way that it was just at range 5 of one of them, but the other one was not going to be able to move in and shoot that turn. Like it needed it would have needed 2 moves to get there. And then like when he deployed his last ATST, I deployed the FD in a similar spot to where it was only going to get shot by like 1 or 2 of them that round. Like basically his ATSTs only got 2 shots on the FDs turn 1. And that was, if he kills 1, he kills 1. But this was a weird dice game too, because everything rolled saves turns 1 and 2. Every FD and every ATST rolled at least 2 paint on like the three dice rolls. It's like they would roll, every time. It was weird. And I put my vets in a position where they were able to like poke out from a line of sight blocker, and they were not going to be in the firing arc of any of the ATSTs, and so they would be able to shoot at like range 3 and with critical 2, and they made really good attack rolls, and he made pretty good save rolls. And it's like, well, it's like, this happens as a dice game. But like the first round and a half, it was just like weird saves everywhere. Each, like by the end of round 3, I think all 3 of his ATSCs were still on the board. I had lost both my FDs, but all 3 of the ATSCs were somewhere around like, I think one of them had 2 wounds on it, and Marquand and the last one had like somewhere around like 7 or 8 wounds each. Like it was a lot of attrition. It's just I hadn't killed anything, so like I didn't really have a choice. Like I'm like, he had gotten the center intercept turn 2, because like I wasn't gonna get it. All of his troopers were behind the ATSTs, and the ATSTs were like right at the intercept point. So it's like, and it was, this map was fairly open. There were like 4 buildings, basically like kind of like range 1.5 from each corner. There were a few like line of sight blocking walls, like wrecked like ship parts walls that I could hide troopers behind from the ATSTs. And then there was just like some trees here and there, and then there was like a large area terrain tree base in the middle. We played fortified, so I was able to just like stick barricades like right in front of everything. It's like, so that way, like once I inevitably dove all of my rebels into the middle to contest, like at least they'd have heavy cover. So at the end of turn 3, like I dove Ahsoka into one of them, because like I needed to make a play, and she got one. Turns out Jarkai is really good paired with Surge Crit and Impact too. It's pretty good. Yeah. So we got one of the ATSTs out. And then he played round 2. He played Constantly Vigilant, which is the standby card, which is, so one of them had a standby. The other one had an aim, because one of them was at range 1 of Ahsoka. I managed to like survive. So like I moved in such a way that he couldn't shoot Ahsoka with the one that had the standby. I moved out of his arc, so he chose not to use the standby there. He wanted to shoot Ahsoka, and I was able to kill Marquand that round with Ahsoka, and then force push a scout in, or something like that, and then he, withdrew the scout and tried to shoot everything into Ahsoka. I took more shots into the other ATST. He was kind of forced to, because he didn't spend his standby when Ahsoka activated. He never got to spend it, so he had to activate the ATST. He shot at Ahsoka. I think I deflected 2 back that time. I think I took 3 wounds here, but I deflected 2 back, which felt great. And then next round was like round 5. And I just started pushing everything to the middle, figuring that Cassian had 2 more shots to deal like 3 more wounds at the ATST, so he probably does it. And at the early turn 6, he only had 1 trooper squad in the middle, and then his scout that was at his back intercept, and he didn't kill Ahsoka, so he conceded at that point. I probably would have killed a 3rd ATST. So I went 3-0.
Nice.
I then dropped because there were 2 other 3-0s. Mike ended up going 3-0, and like I said, John Grizz. So I didn't want to play another game. I wanted to drive home. It was like 2 hours, and it was already after 7. So I said I'm not playing another game. They played. Congrats to John. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully, going to go back up there for something else sooner or later.
Cool.
But it was a lot of fun. It felt good to win 3 games with Cassian, Ahsoka K2. I know it's good.
Definitely.
It's, I basically I joked around, like I'll just lock my list in for Nova, but that's what I'm playing. So it's not, I got a few more games in since then. So I played Travis again on Thursday night, and he kicked my shit in that time. I felt good. It's like I felt good. He didn't let us play intercept this time. Right. I felt good about it going into the game, but or like in the middle of like round 3 or 4, but then all of a sudden, like his last 2 ATSTs rolled like 7 blocks in a row. So it just wasn't meant to be. And then Cassian got 1 shot. So it's because like Cassian comes out and he has 2 aims, and he shoots at the one that has 2 wounds left, and he gets 2 crits, and Pierce 1 is a thing. So presumably you probably kill the white save thing there. Right. He didn't, because it rolled 2 blocks. Wow. And then my FD that was still alive took a shot at the other one, and got 4 crits, and he rolled 4 blocks. So it happens. It's a tough list to play against. Once the ATSTs fall, like once like 1 falls, if 1 falls quickly, like it's a very winnable situation all of a sudden. If you don't take them out, if you don't clear out enough of them quickly enough, it becomes very unwinnable because they start one-shotting. It's gross.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the Keystone Classic was a great time. Would do it again.
Awesome. We'll talk about Ministraveganza here in just a second. We skipped over events. Didn't have anything, any new requests for promotion, so I just want to hit the button on GUI again. The Guild House Everyone's Welcome World's Invitational event. November 11th, 12th, I think is what it is. Whatever that Saturday, Sunday is, Veterans Day weekend. Here in San Jose, California. Come on out. Tickets are still available. I'll have a link in the show notes for tickets. The Game Up link is also available. Please buy tickets if you sign up for Game Up link. We will be resolving that. And but we've got over 20 people already signed up. So good crowd coming. That's going to be, I think, 5 rounds of Swiss. I have to double check what we landed on. But
I think that's what you've said in the past.
It's what I said, yeah. And I'm pretty sure I was right, but we'll see. Anyways, that's the other event news. Of course, PAX. We talked about PAX.
No new news. No player. No official player packet out yet. So I've got I think there's 22 people signed up on Uplink. So if you have registered, I see you there. I'm waiting until my player packet becomes official before I approve anybody, but still plenty of space. But if you want to queue up, go ahead. I encourage it. I like what I see so far. I'm hoping to get. We had 56 last year. I'd love to get full 64. That's usually almost impossible because somebody's got a flat tire on the way.
Sure,
that did happen last year, and it's so you're gonna get drops, but
that's good.
I'm hoping they get that player packet approved very soon.
Totally.
But yeah, that's gonna be great. And I'll be at Nova this week. So if you're listening before Nova, I will be at Nova. I'm very excited. Nick. Come say hi to Nick. And it's going to be fun. Fun times. Yeah. Love it.
Awesome.
But,
all right. Sure. We want to spend a couple minutes. So Ministraveganza coming up. I think it's in 3 weeks? So
September 15th, 16th, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think kind of off the top, I'm guessing we're going to get some more details, perhaps card reveals, et cetera, of things that were announced at Adepticon. So things like the Geonosians and the Bad Batch and Inquisitors and what else am I forgetting in there?
That's it. That's all of it.
Okay.
Because they had started spoiling Ewoks then because they hadn't yet. That was there was a lot of Ewok information there, and they actually had fully spoiled Ahsoka, I think, too there. So
I think so too. Yeah. So we'll just kind of set that aside and we're not going to talk about any of those units. Just something will happen with them. You already leaked one of your speculations. What else are you thinking or hoping we'll see?
So MCP's getting a new core set. Here's my logic though. There's logic behind it. Of course. Oh, my dog's
I thought we were indulging in rampant speculation.
I mean, it's sort of rampant. So MCP, they announced a new core set, and I'm sure Ministraveganza, it's it 2 years ago when they started doing them, right? It was about 2 years ago. The Legion was at the forefront with MCP, and now it's we're going to be sharing a lot with, we're going to be the third wheel for sure. At this point, MCP and Shatterpoint are the babies.
Yeah,
the favorite son and the new baby.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I think we will be a third wheel, but I think it's third wheel on a tricycle. Not a.
Which wheel is the least important on the tricycle? Is there
the third wheel concept comes from on a bicycle. You don't need a third wheel. So
I know. It's Legion and X-Wing are the training wheels on the bike at this point. That's where we're at.
I don't think X-Wing counts. Anyways, I was trying to steer us out of a woe is me Legion community mentality.
I'm not woeing. I'm not woeing as me or anything over here.
I think it is fair that perhaps we don't get expectations up of massive stuff, because you're absolutely right. We are going to be sharing stage time with. But I do think that MCP, Shatterpoint, and Legion will be the top three.
I mean, Legion will definitely be top three, but it's probably the 20% at the bottom is occupied.
Let's talk about what we might see.
So, all right, here's it's not as rampant as we can rampantly speculate. Maybe we'll finally get Republic version of Ahsoka. Maybe. Anyway,
I hadn't thought about that, and you mentioned it earlier. Now I'm excited. That'd be cool to see.
Educated, or I don't know, educated speculation, thought out speculation. So MCP's getting a new core set, right? Awesome. It looks awesome. I just got back into painting MCP. I got a bunch of X-Men over there, and cool. They're looking kind of lonely. But I don't know. I don't know. The new models in that core set look great. Love it. Love what I see. The Shatterpoint core set is has a phenomenal amount of stuff in it. It's got from what people tell me, it's got enough terrain for you to play a game. Because it's Shatterpoint. I think it's not you need all of this terrain for Rebels to not just get shot off the table, because that was the original thing with Legion. It's if you didn't have terrain on the table, Rebels just got shot off the table and lost.
Yeah,
it's so it's like the Shatterpoint core set's a great value. They recently released like faction starters for X-Wing, which is not exciting for anybody who already owns X-Wing because it's just stuff you already have. But it's really exciting for retailers and people trying to grow communities because like that is a thing. Like people still play X-Wing. So that's great. I would love to see, and it's like hopefully we'll see starters like that for Legion. Like not like the Battle Force boxes are great, but a lot of them they feel a little hit or miss based on like what's in there. I'd love them to replace the 2-player core set. Like I'd love for like that to get replaced. Like I would 100 like honestly if they just released like a new core set with like new sculpts, like the same thing we already had for like Rebels or for Rebels Empire, I would buy 3 more of them because my Rebel troopers look so bad compared to my new stuff.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's like, but like also like a faction starters would be great because like a lot of people don't have a buddy to swap with, and it's like, you know, get us real faction starters. Like do that. Yeah. That's what I would love to see that. That's not a lot of like production time for them. Like that's something I could see. They like core sets. They like to make them. We all like also like retailers are starting to get like the Battle Force boxes back in stock with the correct things in them, which is great to see.
Yeah, I've seen those.
But like, I mean, likely like at Adepticon, they said, this is the stuff you'll probably see throughout the rest of the year. Right. Yeah. Like, so like the Geonosians, the Bad Batch and the Inquisitors. So like, I imagine we'll get some like, probably some spoilers for at least 1 or 2 of those.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That was the table stakes I talked about at the beginning. I think I like what you said. I'm interested to see what they do with new boxes, like you talked about. If that's something that comes in, I would be very cool to see Republic Ahsoka. I have a reason, but it's rampant speculation based off of how you and I usually talk. Would be more of the Rebels crew showing up. Especially since we've got Hera and others in live action Ahsoka here,
right?
Which no spoilers because I haven't even actually watched the first couple episodes. I'm waiting to.
That's.
Drake was out of town, and we're excited to. We're gonna watch.
That was real. That was a real thing.
Yeah.
I thought you were trolling. Jesus Christ!
That was when I troll. I enjoy trolling with factors of truth in there. It makes it even more fun for me.
So like popping up on in my feed, it's like, oh, Ahsoka premiering early on Tuesday night. I was like, oh yeah, that's great. And then they were like 6 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 p.m. here. That's bedtime for Nick. That's bedtime when he goes to work the next day. He's got to go to sleep. Like, and if it was one episode, I would have absolutely like, because I'm usually going to bed between 9 and 9:30. So if it's one episode, I'll stay up till 10. That's fine. But it was 2, and I wasn't going to watch one and not the other, and like
of course
go to bed at like 11 o'clock and be miserable all day. So like, it really hurt to like have to wait and know that everyone else already watched it because it premiered in prime time.
You're more disciplined than me. I have definitely when they weren't premiering in prime time, they were premiering them at midnight on the West Coast. I definitely stayed up. I watched, but there's other stuff going on.
I stayed up for the first episode of The Mandalorian.
That's what. Yeah, I think that's what.
But like Disney Plus didn't work anyway. So.
Yeah, I don't think I stayed up for the first one, but there were definitely some episodes. I think one of the season finales I probably definitely stayed up for. But
one of them, the season 3 finale of Mandalorian, I remember I woke up like early, like an hour earlier than I normally do, not on purpose, on accident, but like subconsciously it was probably on purpose because like I got up and watched it. It was fine.
That's cool.
I won't forget, like I was in Florida during the second episode of season 3, and we were staying at my brother's in-laws, and like I actually like was sitting in the corner of the couch at like 7 a.m. watching it on my phone, and like everybody was getting up around me, and my brother was there, and he knew what I was doing because he gets it, and they're like, I have like my headphones in, and they're like, what's he doing? And he's like, he just explains to like 18 other people, because there were like 18 other people staying on this property. It was like, oh, he's watching Mandalorian. And they're like, oh, okay, I get it. But
that's nice of him that he said Mandalorian, because that's a perfect opportunity to say he's watching porn. So.
Right. I watched. I could hear him at one point because it was low enough, but yeah. I had a whole exercise room I could have done that in. Jeez.
All right. And that's our show.
I hope we get some pre-order news, because
oh yeah, that'd be cool. You like dates on some of those stuff.
It's the Asmodee site's consistently been putting stuff up for pre-order a month and a half, 2 months before it comes out, so that we know. And it's nothing's up for pre-order. So at this point, we assume we're not getting anything till October at this point, at the earliest. So it's I'd really love to see something updated in the next couple of weeks, so that we know we're getting some stuff this year. Yeah. It would be a bummer if all of that got pushed until next year. And basically, other than those 3 characters we got earlier this year, Ahsoka, all we've gotten this year so far is Dark Troopers, Gideon, the Ahsoka, Cody, Asajj, and then Ewoks. And that would kind of be a bummer, because that really leaves Republic and Separatists really with nothing.
Yeah. We haven't talked about what. Oh no, Geodosian's coming for Separatists.
Well, presumably, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just things we know about.
It's a battle force, so I might be Ewoks.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
I'm excited for Bugmen.
Yeah.
Bugmen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Ministraveganza. We'll be back before then, I think, right? Unless something changes with your schedule.
I'll have the kids that weekend, but we're coming up on another. I should have a 5-weekend month where we're going to flip.
I should have a nice long tournament report from Nova, though.
Cool.
That'll be good. Wow. Hopefully, y'all like that. I'll try not to do those long Stabcast 35-minute battle reports each. So keep it brief.
Yeah.
But excited.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see if there's anyone else at Nova who wants to come talk to us.
Probably.
Probably.
I'll do some tryouts or something like that. I'll vet people. I'll be
see who has a good.
The reason nobody's here with us this week is just because
laziness. We didn't even do show notes.
We didn't even set a recording time until 2 hours ago. It was it was this morning. Yeah, I know. We've been really lazy. Summer's coming and going. It's fine. But that's it. We're right under an hour. This is fine.
Yeah. Perfect.
But that's it.
Cool.
That's our cast.
Outro music.
Yeah,
go.
There's probably music going now.
There is. I found out.
Bye everybody. See you at Nova.